Today we practiced solving inequalities, which is very similar to solving equations. There's only one minor thing that you need to consider. Anytime you multiply or divide by a negative, then you have to reverse the inequality, and we investigated why that was true today in class. So problem number 19 says negative 2/5 a is greater than or equal to 18. We don't want to know what negative 2/5 a is greater than or equal to. We want to know what a is greater than or equal to. So I really want this. We want to make this negative 2/5 1, and we can multiply by the reciprocal to get a product of 1. So I'll show this. You know what? I think I'm going to actually take this down to the bottom. I don't think I'm going to have enough room here, and I don't want to crowd my work. I have negative 2/5 a is greater than or equal to 18. But if I multiply by 5/2, the 5's will cancel and the 2's will cancel, and I'll get 1a, which is what I want. But the problem is I won't have 1a, I'll have negative 1a. So we want to really make this negative 5/2, because we know a negative multiplied by a negative is a positive. By doing that, we will isolate the variable a on the left side of the inequality. But if I do that on the left side, I have to do the same thing on the right side. That's the property of equality. So I have to multiply 18 by negative 5/2 also. We could show 18 is 18 over 1 if you find that helpful when you're multiplying this way. There's a common factor of 2 here, so I could factor out the 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 18 divided by 2 is 9. And 9 multiplied by negative 5 is negative 45. Of course, on the left side, we will have these 5's cancel, these 2's cancel, and negative multiplied by negative is positive, so we just have 1a or a. That's the whole reason we multiplied by negative 5/2, was to get rid of this coefficient or to turn it into 1. But the other thing we need to think about is we just multiplied both sides by a negative, so that's the case where we need to reverse this inequality. So now, rather than being greater than or equal to, now a is less than or equal to negative 45. And you'll see the solution here in the answer bank. It's right here. And so the way this puzzle works is there's a lowercase o and an uppercase t. So you look for the lowercase o and you put an uppercase t underneath it. Now I think I did something wrong. What did I do wrong? I did something wrong. Okay. I did the classic mistake, reading the directions, not reading the directions. Hopefully you've already read the directions and you noticed my mistake. Cross out the letter pair next to each correct solution. So we just found this solution and we cross it out. You'll write, let's see there, for each letter pair you don't cross out, write the uppercase letter in the box containing the lowercase letter. So whichever ones are left after we cross out the 4 correct solutions will be the ones that we'll use to fill in this the answer to this riddle. Okay, problem number 20. 5 minus a is greater than negative 18. This one looks a little easier at first glance, but there's actually something kind of tricky about it. I know I want to get rid of this 5, this constant term, so I can subtract 5 from both sides. Negative 18 minus 5 is negative 23, because it's the same as negative 18 plus negative 5. On the left side, 5 minus 5 is 0, but you have to think about 0 minus a. It's like 0 plus negative a. There's still a negative a on this side, even though the 5 is gone. I want to make sure that doesn't look like a 9. even though the 5 is gone, you're still left with negative a, not a. We don't need to reverse the inequality because even though we subtracted or added a negative, it's only when you multiply or divide by a negative that you need to reverse the inequality. This is the point where I'd like you to try to figure out what do you think you would do here. Negative a is greater than negative 23. The opposite of a is greater than the opposite of 23. Think about what you should do here during the pause, and then come back and check your idea against mine.
Paused.
Okay, negative a is negative 1a. And so we need to divide by negative 1 on both sides of this inequality. Because negative 1 divided by negative 1 is 1. And so we get a on this side, which is what we want. And negative 23 divided by negative 1 is just 23, because negative divided by negative is positive. But we also have to think about this inequality. It's no longer greater than, because remember we said anytime we multiply or divide by a negative, we need to reverse the inequality. So a is less than 23. And we'll now cross that one off on this answer bank. You do, you may have already done 17 and 18. If you have, you know what, if you haven't already done 17 and 18, the answer to 17 is a is less than or equal to negative 23. The answer to 18 is a is greater than negative 23. So you could check your work on those based on the answers I just revealed. And then the way the puzzle works is you underneath the lowercase h you would put a capital A, and underneath the lowercase t you would put a capital M. I also want to look at problem 26. Here you have to not only solve the inequality, but write the inequality. So you're going to write it first and then solve it. The opposite of n is at most 19. Well, I know the opposite of n is negative n. Just like the opposite of 5 is negative 5. Is at most. We have to think about what that means. The most it could be is 19. Does that mean it could be 19? Yes, at most it could be 19. So it could equal 19. If the most it can be is 19, it could also be some number less than 19. So the opposite of n is less than or equal to 19. Now solving this one is just a matter of turning negative n into n. But that's just like we did on the last problem. If you go back to when we had negative a is greater than negative 23 and what we did there. So apply that idea to this problem and you should be able to solve this problem. Thanks for watching the homework help video. I'll see you tomorrow.